It was a bloody Memorial Day weekend in America, but since blaming white supremacy would be quite the stretch given the perpetrators, the Democrats who were hell-bent on a lenient and lawless society will blame you, law-abiding gun owners. But before we get to their solutions, let's break down some weekend lowlights. First up, what appears to be a thug free-for-all in Hollywood Beach, Florida, just 20 miles north of Miami. At least 9 people were injured, including a 1-year-old baby. Apparently, this shooting broke out when 2 groups got into an altercation that led to a shootout. Police released images of the suspects, and I'm no expert, but these folks appeared to be, well, not white. So Democrats can pass white supremacy on their monopoly board and skip straight to blame the inanimate object. California Governor Gavin Newsom was hot and ready for that one right out the gate with his tweet taking aim at who he hopes will be his 2024 opponent, Ron DeSantis. Also important to note that Ron DeSantis' permitless carry bill doesn't go into effect until July 1st, so there's that. Oh, and then there's this. According to authorities, 5 handguns were recovered at the scene, and at least 2 of them were stolen. One reported stolen from Texas and the other from Miami. I'm not sure which gun infringement Gavin thinks would prevent thugs from stealing firearms, given his state doesn't do much to impede in theft or really crime of any kind, as we well know. And I for damn sure know Gavin isn't about to blame the new Democrat mayor of Chicago, a city with some of the strictest gun laws in the nation, for the 53 people shot and 11 killed across that city over the holiday weekend alone. We don't have a gun problem. We have a thug problem, a parenting problem, a fatherlessness problem, and last but not least, a massive leadership problem wherein Democrats and Soros-funded DAs refuse to enforce the laws on the books, like this little doozy right here. LAPD arrested that man for stabbing the neck of a construction worker, nearly killing him. Despite a prison recommendation from the probation department, LADA George Gascon's administration agreed to give him diversion instead. He is now charged with murdering his neighbor just last week. So, Gavy boy, let me make this very clear. If you and your ilk refuse to protect and safeguard decent and law-abiding citizens, I guess we'll have to protect and defend ourselves from the felons, thugs, and degenerates you divert, refuse to prosecute, and refuse to lock up. Folks, we knew the primary battle between Don and Ron was going to get ugly, but Donald Trump has been on one since the DeSantis announcement last week, and I'm not so sure it's landing the way he thinks it's landing. Like this Truth Social post, for example, where he insists New York and Governor Cuomo, the nursing home Grim Reaper, did a better job than DeSantis in Florida, where he moved with his entire family. Or this wild post from just last night where Trump went after his own former press secretary, our very own Kayleigh McEnany. I'm really not sure what the strategy is here beyond just really short-sighted and unbecoming of the man we all expect more from. You know, throw barbs, that's fine, but the nukes at the home team are not only unsettling, but really super unhelpful. Joining me now with his take, host of the Officer Tatum Show and podcast, Brandon Tatum. Brandon, I'm very interested to hear your thoughts, especially in the last couple of days. I mean, it seems like our former president is going scorched earth on Ron DeSantis. And whereas I think his supporters were cheering it on last week, I'm not so sure they're feeling the same this week. What's your take?
Well, I'll tell you what, Tommy, I'm tired of it. I don't understand how a man in his 70s cannot overcome the temptation to be petty. It's okay to believe that you're better than Ron DeSantis. You know, I think he has a better chance than Ron DeSantis at this point, but you don't have to throw shots. You don't have to be petty. You don't have to be unprofessional and unbecoming of a president. I think that his approach should be very simple. All you do is uplift Ron DeSantis and say how great he is, because therefore, if Ron DeSantis is incredibly great and you're leading him in the polls by 30%, what does that say about you? And then when you talk about Kayleigh McEnany, I would argue that she was one of the most incredible press secretaries to ever do the job. And even if she was turning on Trump or said something that was, against Trump or could have hurt his feelings, you are the adult in the room. You are running for president. Simply say, I love her. Hey, here's some stats that may combat the stats that she put out there. Hey, I know that I'm going to beat Ron DeSantis. It's not even a question. When you come out and be petty and call people nicknames, it is going to wear out your base. People cannot defend it for 5 more years of pettiness. I don't understand why he does this. I still like him as number one, but I think his stock is slipping downhill fast.
Yeah, that really bothered me last night when I saw him go after Kayleigh McEnany for what he said was getting poll numbers wrong. I mean, it's not even as if the girl said anything against Trump or for DeSantis. He just argues that she got the poll numbers slightly off. And the way that he went after her, I mean, it was gruesome. And it was, to me, just really unflattering and unbecoming. And I think a lot of the people that like it when he goes after Ron DeSantis or anybody else for that matter, I think that when they saw him go after Kayleigh McEnany, of all people, someone who fiercely defended him all through his first election, his second, campaign, I think it turned a lot of people off. But then there's the other half of it where now he's doing this weird thing where he's trying to say that Governor Cuomo, who sent elderly people to their death in the nursing home during COVID, did a better job than Ron DeSantis when Trump and his entire family moved to Florida during the governorship of Ron DeSantis. Make it make sense, Brandon.
I can't. It's impossible. I mean, I don't even think if I was Jesus Christ, I could make this make sense. I mean, Donald Trump, and of course I'm being facetious, but Donald Trump is taking the wrong approach. I was talking to my wife about this morning. It is very easy for him to say, I'm better than Ron. You don't have to lie. You don't have to somehow elevate Cuomo to professional status when we all know Cuomo did an incredibly poor job. He should probably be held vicariously responsible for the death of the people in his state. I don't understand the superfluous arguments that Donald Trump is making when he could just be very succinct and say, I'm better. This is what I'm going to do for America. This is how I stood up for America when I was president. I'm going to get another chance at this and I'm going to dominate, instead of just coming up with these fake ideologies. And I'm going to tell you this. This is what bothers me to a certain degree when it comes to Donald Trump. At what point did Ron DeSantis become the bad guy? Right. Because Donald Trump, living in Florida, endorsed Ron DeSantis, told all of us to support him, said he was a great man. All of a sudden, Ron DeSantis is a deep state operative and bought and paid for by some of the donors that donated to Donald Trump. Make this make sense to me. I don't get it. And I don't understand who's talking to Donald Trump. Like, who is in his ear or in his campaign and that's telling him this makes perfect sense for you to say the dumbest things on planet Earth and act like these people who pushed the vaccine, shut down their state, literally told people that they will lose their jobs if they don't get vaccinated. And you're saying that man did a better job than Ron DeSantis? It makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to me either. And again, we knew that this was going to be a contentious primary battle, but the two need to really convince their supporters, because I think that we're really all in the same camp by and large, that one or the other has a better chance of winning. That's really all I want to hear from the two of them, because I like Trump's policies and I like DeSantis's policies, and I like Trump and I like Ron DeSantis. I want to know which one of you is going to get Joe Biden out of that White House, or Kamala or Gavin from ever getting in that White House. That's what I want to know. And that's not what I'm hearing from him, which is disappointing to me. But then there's another layer of this, too, that I want to get your thoughts on. So the DeSantis announcement last week, I watched it. I watched through the whole Twitter debacle, not his fault, right? Frustrating. I watched him then later with Trey Gowdy on Fox News. And I personally was impressed. I thought that he went through policy. I thought that what he was talking about hit home for me as somebody who spent most of my life in Middle America and now lives in the South. But a lot of my friends in more of the Trump camp, they're saying that, he was too boring. And I want your perspective on it. Do conservatives, Republicans, Americans want somebody who is entertaining, or somebody who's a little bit more professional, a little bit more statesman-like? What do you think conservatives right now are yearning for?
Well, I think that America, in and of itself, I think people in the middle and people who lean more right they want somebody who can articulate themselves and actually tell us, how are you going to get us out of this mess? I think people are sick of the back and forth and the arguing and all this crazy stuff that's going on in politics. People are kind of sick of the political stuff. That's why they like Donald Trump in 2016 and also in 2020, because they got sick of these politicians throwing shots and being fake and doing nothing, and saying a lot and doing nothing. And so I think America wants something different. I watched Ron DeSantis. I watched his campaign speech and I saw his interview on a Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro. And I felt like he was very professional. He made his points known. He did an incredible job. And this is why I think he's a formidable opponent. One thing that I think America needs to understand, or should understand, is that There's nothing wrong with competition. There's nothing wrong with people working hard to let us know, we the people, who can do a better job. You don't just get the nomination because of through osmosis. You have to work hard for it. You have to prove to us this is our country. We don't worship a dictatorship. You're not God. You need to work hard. You need to prove that you can do it a second time around. I know that there was nefarious things that happened in 2020, but you lost. So you need to come back with a vengeance and prove yourself to the American people that you can be the nominee that we hope that you could be. And I'll say this too, with Ron DeSantis, I think if people are missing this, even my wife is missing this, and I love her to death. And every, married people know that you may not agree on everything. But I think people are not paying attention to why Ron DeSantis is running and the people who are actually backing and supporting him. The fact that Elon Musk assisted him rolling out his campaign. You got to think this is a Republican, and Elon Musk is helping him roll out his campaign on Twitter. How much money is Elon Musk going to put behind Ron DeSantis? People like Joe Rogan, biggest podcast in the country, said he would never talk to Donald Trump on his podcast, but would he give Ron DeSantis an opportunity? These big players who have influence and money are supporting Ron DeSantis for a reason. And I think that we need to kind of step back and say, what is that reason? Let's be open-minded and may the best man win.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. And I think the people that want entertainment and want showmanship and all that, I think that they're missing the independents in this conversation, because I don't think that independents want a showman. I think that the reason that a lot of Democrats voted for Joe Biden in 2020 is because they wanted something that was, to use Trump's words, a little more milquetoast. And I think that they see Ron DeSantis as somebody who is able to keep a level head and deliver results. And so I think it's going to be much easier for Ron DeSantis to flip independents just like he did in Florida. But there's another part of this conversation that's tricky to me. It's the whole loyalty conversation. Donald Trump, as we know, demands loyalty from everybody, but he doesn't really give that loyalty back. And I'm wondering if his supporters, which I include myself in that camp, are starting to see that and maybe pick up on it a little bit, especially after him going after Kayleigh McEnany last night.
Yeah, I think that Donald Trump, finds himself in a position where he is loyal to some people and some people he may not be loyal to. He seems emotional, though. Like, I like Donald Trump. I'm gonna vote for him if he wins the nomination. And like I said, he's number one in the position right now. But I mean, I just don't understand this loyalty conversation. Competition is always great. I don't understand why Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump can't be on the same page together. Why can't they both compete and run and then work together to win against the Democrats? Loyalty to me is consistency. It's not necessarily whether you challenge me or not. It's whether you're consistent as a person and that I can respect your position. There is no way whatsoever, in my opinion, I don't know what's behind the scenes. Maybe they got some spout behind the scenes. People know something we don't know. But I don't think that there's a loyalty problem there, because nobody cares about Vivek Ramaswamy running.
Right.
No, it don't seem that he's attacking anybody else that's in the race. Well, then why is DeSantis the problem? I think because he know that DeSantis is a formidable opponent. But loyalty to me isn't that you worship me as the cult leader. Loyalty to me is that you're loyal to the country. And if Ron DeSantis is loyal to the country, then he's loyal to me. And so right. I think that's the way that we should be looking at it. And I'll say this, Tommy, and I know some of your people probably get mad at me. My people get mad at me, and I couldn't care less. But we need to stop worshiping cult leaders. And I'm not saying Trump is a cult leader, but people are positioning him like a cult leader. Mm-hmm. The man is not God. He is not the end all be all of the American people. We need him to be viewed upon as a person who can represent our values. You either do that or you do not do that. And I want to just touch on this one point. My father, whom I respect dearly, my father is one of the most respectable men I know. And my father would not vote for Donald Trump because of his lack of leadership and decorum. My father is a man's man. My father is a leader. My father is a chief of a fire department, and he's been in service for over 35 years. My father understands the value of not only having good policies, but also having good character. And that's one of the things that I think Donald Trump lacks. And a lot of people in the middle are saying the character is too much for me. We need somebody with policies and also with character. Another thing that worries me is that if Trump is not our nominee,
he's going to do everything that he can to sabotage Ron DeSantis, which really bothers me, and I don't think I'm alone in that. Before I let you go, I have to play this clip from The View yesterday because I've been wanting your reaction to it. I mean, there were so many clips for these last couple of weeks that the ladies of The View have given us, but this one in particular on who could eventually be maybe our president, God, I hope not, Kamala Harris, and why it's racist not to support her. Let's take a listen.
She's not really been able to do either, and I feel like she hasn't broken through on major policy accomplishments. And she will, fairly or unfairly, be the most scrutinized vice president in history because she's running with the oldest president running for president.
And she's also a black woman.
But I think you have to be able to fairly critique the vice president of the United States without just saying it's the color of their skin or the fact she's a woman.
But it is part of it.
Why? What makes you say that?
Well, we're in the United States of America.
But like with someone like me saying it, do you think I could have a legitimate policy of
no, it's not you. It's just we're in the United States of America, and black women, and this is just not me saying it. I mean, there have been studies. Black women are considered less articulate. They are considered uglier. They are considered all of these things
beautiful,
by this country, and it's because of the history, of course, of misogyny.
So let's get this straight here. Because this is America, that's why we shouldn't be able to criticize Kamala Harris, because if we do, we're following the racist patriarchy. I'm very confused here. Sunny, let's make Sunny make sense.
Well, she's dumber than a bag of rocks to start with. She pushes race agendas for no reason. Her son currently, as we speak, is going to, I think he goes to Harvard. Like, what are you actually saying? If black people have such a disadvantage, then why did the racist white man jump over you and your family? I don't understand that. And Kamala Harris is just a poor performer. She literally talks in circles and word salads every time she speaks. She has no merit. She has no charisma. She is the worst vice president to ever live. And to be honest, there's other black women who would do much better than her. It's just that for some reason they pick the worst amongst them. And I don't want to hear anybody say anything about, well, black women are this in America. I want us to go and look at Barack Obama's book sales and Michelle Obama's book sales. I think Michelle Obama sold more books than any woman in American history. So if she's not articulate and she's too ugly to sell books, these people have become almost billionaires because of the love that America have for people who produce what they want to see. And like we had the black president, which is, he's biracial, but they call him black. But we have a biracial or considered black president. If America is racist, we would have never seen that before. Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice. Like, where is America racist at? The Democrats claim that half of their party is minority and diverse, and white people are voting for them. So these people don't have an argument. People like Sunny Hostin, she only thing she know how to do is push racism. She has no merit. She has no research points. She lies about the research. Oh, it's researchers. What research indicated that black women are uglier? I mean, just these people are nutty to me. I just think they don't have a good argument, and so they default to the race card and the misogyny card.
And I think it's also important to point out that Kamala Harris did run for the Democrat nomination in 2020, and Democrats did not select her. So I guess Sunny is saying that the Democrat Party, which she proclaims to belong to, is actually the most racist of all. So there we go. Brandon, I always appreciate your commentary. I'll talk to you very soon. Let's hope that our candidates just get it together, because I don't want to see a President Kamala. God help us.
For the love of God. Thanks, Tommy. Thanks for having
Brandon.
me.